Everybody, this is class 9 physics and we are dealing with the lesson force and Newton's laws of motion. In today's session, we are going to solve a few more numericals. For solving the numericals, let's see what are the formulas we are going to use. These are the formulas which we are going to use in the numericals. The first one is V minus U is equal to AT. So that is the first equation of motion. Then the second equation of motion, V square minus U square is equal to 2AS. Third one, S is equal to UT plus half AT square. Fourth one, F is equal to MA. Then fifth one, we will be using P is equal to MA. That is, small p is momentum, then small m is mass, and V is velocity. Then the law, according to the law of conservation of momentum, we will use this formula: m1 v1 plus m2 v2 is equal to m1 u1 plus m2 u2. So these are the formulas what we are going to use for solving the numericals. The first numerical, two objects each of mass 1.5 kilogram are moving in the same straight line but in opposite directions. The velocity of each object is 2.5 meter per second before the collision, during which they stick together. What will be the velocity of the combined object after collision? So we have to find what is the final velocity of the objects after collision. So given the mass of the first object m1 is 1.5 kilogram. Then mass of the second object is also 1.5 kilogram. The initial velocity of the first object u1 is 2.5 meter per second. Initial velocity of the second object u2 is also minus 2.5 meter per second. Why it is negative sign? It's because they move in the same straight line but in opposite directions. Let's see the solution. First we have to find what is the momentum before collision. So it's nothing but sum of the momentum of the first object and the momentum of the second object. So it will be m1 u1 plus m2 u2. When we substitute the values, so m1 is 1.5, u1 is 2.5, then again m2 is 1.5 and u2 is minus 2.5. So when you calculate it, it's going to be 0 only. So the momentum before collision is 0. That is, the total momentum before collision is 0. The momentum after collision is going to be m1 plus m2 here. So why? Because they stick together and they have told that they are going to move in the same velocity there. So it's going to be the total momentum after collision is going to be m1.5 plus 1.5, which is going to be 3 kilogram. Then after collision we have to find what is the final velocity here. So according to law of conservation of momentum, we know that m1 u1 plus m2 u2 is equal to m1 v1 plus m2 v2. That is nothing but the momentum before collision will be equal to momentum after collision. Already we have found the value of momentum before collision here. So it will become use 0, which is equal to momentum after collision. It's m1 plus m2 into v. Why it is m1 plus m2 into v? It's because they both are going with the same velocity after the collision here. Okay. So when I substitute the value of m1 plus m2, that is 3 kilogram, and into v. So it will become 3v here. Now if we find v, it's nothing but it's 0 here. So the final velocity of the objects after collision is 0. Second one, a hockey ball of mass 200 gram traveling at 10 meter per second is struck by a hockey stick so as to return it along its original path with velocity at 5 meter per second. Calculate the change of momentum occurred in the motion of the hockey ball by the force applied by the hockey stick. Given mass of the hockey ball is 200 gram. So 200 divided by 1000. Always we have to convert the units to SI units while we are solving problem. So I've converted gram into kilogram. To convert gram into kilogram, we have to divide it by 1000. So 200 divided by 1000 will give us 0.2, that is 0.2 kilogram. So always remember we need to convert, we need to have the units as in their SI units. Then initial velocity of the ball is U is equal to 10 meter per second. Then final velocity, that is after the ball is being hit by the hockey stick. Okay, so it is minus 5 meter per second. Why it is minus again? They have given it is so as to return. So it is returning. So it is minus 5 meter per second final velocity of the ball. They've asked to find what is the change in momentum. So first we will find what is the initial momentum of the ball. So initial momentum of the ball is, we know formula for momentum is mass into velocity. So initial momentum of the ball will become mass into initial velocity. Then mass value of the ball is 0.2 and initial velocity of the ball is 10. So 0.2 into 10 will give us 2 kilogram meter per second. Then we need to find what is the final momentum of the ball. So final momentum of the ball will be nothing but mass into final velocity of the ball here. So mass is nothing but 0.2 into minus 5. So when we multiply 0.2 into minus 5, it will become minus 1 kilogram meter per second. In the question, they have asked us to find what is the change in momentum. So change in momentum of the hockey ball will be final momentum minus initial momentum. That is minus 1 minus 2. So it will give us minus 3 kilogram meter per second. So we can neglect the negative sign because momentum cannot be negative. So the change in momentum is 3 kilogram meter per second. Next one, a bullet of mass 10 gram moves horizontally with a velocity of 150 meter per second and strikes a stationary wooden block and comes into rest in 0.03 second. Calculate the distance of penetration of the bullet into the block. Also calculate the magnitude of the force exerted by the wooden block on the bullet. So what are the things we have to calculate? We have to find what is the distance, how far it has been penetrated inside the block, and we need to find what is the force also here. So first we'll write the given. So given is mass of the bullet is 10 gram. So always we have to convert it to their SI unit. SI unit of mass is kilogram here. Okay, so what we need to do is we have to divide it by 1000. So 10 divided by 1000 will give us 0.01 kilogram. Initial velocity is nothing but 150 meter per second. Final velocity is 0 meter per second. So why it is 0? It's because the bullet penetrates deep inside the block and it comes to rest here. Time for the wooden block to strike the time for the wooden bullet to strike the bullet is 0.03 second. Let's see the solution. So first we have to find what is the acceleration. Only when we find what is the acceleration, we can find what is the force and also the distance. Yes. So we are going to use the first equation of motion from the first lesson, that is V is equal to U plus AT here. So now we'll substitute the values. So final velocity is 0. Initial velocity is 150 meter per second, which is given, and acceleration we need to find, and time is 0.03. So what I have to do the next step, I have to take this 150, I'm taking this 150 to the left hand side, so it will become minus 152, which is equal to A into 0.03. Now we can find what is the acceleration, so it will become minus 150 by 0.03. So when we calculate it, we'll get the acceleration is minus 5000 meter per second square. So it is nothing but the velocity is reducing. So when the velocity reduces, it is called as deceleration here. So the acceleration is negative because the velocity is reducing. Now we are going to use the second equation of motion. So that is v square minus u square is equal to 2as, because they have asked us to find what is the distance here. Okay, so final velocity we know, that is 0, and we know what is the initial velocity, 150, and the acceleration also we have found, that is minus 5000. So when you substitute the values in the second equation of motion, v square minus u square is equal to 2as, we can find what is the distance here. Okay, so now 0 square will become 0 only, then minus 150 square, it will become minus 22,500, which is equal to 2 into minus 5,000 is minus 10,000. So this minus and this minus will get cancelled, and we will have S will be equal to 22,500 divided by 10,000. So when we divide, the distance of the bullet in the wooden block to penetrate will be S is equal to 2.25 meter. So now we have found the acceleration, and we have also found what is the distance also. We need to find what is the magnitude of force, that is F. We are going to use the formula F is equal to ma. So mass we know it is 10, and it's gram there. So I have substituted it directly, 10 gram. So you have to convert it into kilogram here. So 10 divided by 1000, or you can also write it as 0.01 into minus 5000. So here the answer will be 50 Newton. So when we solve it, we'll get the forces minus 50 Newton, and force cannot be negative here. So we are neglecting the negative